Welcome to Survive in the Tomodachi Room, where you survive in the Tomodachi Room. Why do you need to survive in the Tomodachi Room? Well, that's because I'm doing the Sani Sasa while I survive in the Tomodachi Room. I'm just testing how insane I can make these intros before someone calls the police on me. Imagine you're in the Tomodachi Life Island, walking around, being a happy little fella. It sounds kind of awesome. In Tomodachi Life, I even have friends. But because I'm a negative Nancy, I was trying to think of some reason to make living in Tomodachi Life not sound awesome. Perhaps because I'm stuck in a rainbow void, unable to play or see anything about the new game. What I came up with? Your goal is to survive 10 days in your Tomodachi Life apartment. No lookalike visits, no friends, just you and whatever resources are in that room. So this is basically how long could a normal human survive in Tomodachi Life. Kudos to On a Dog for milking this a bunch. Usually I'm not very hot on milking, but this is actually good content. Don't know! I will be giving each room 5 different scores. Food and water is kind of self-explanatory. It's basically just the actual amount of food and water that we can see and confirm within the room, with a score of 6 basically meaning that you could survive on those rations for 10 days. However, a lot of the rooms have different places where resources could be located, but we can't actually see them. This is why I made a speculation score, which is basically either how fun it is to think about surviving in the room, or, at the very least, how likely it is that the things that are in the room that we can't see are actually food and water and other resources we could use. I don't really want this to be a list of yes, no, so that's why I made a fun ranking, which is basically how much fun you can have within the room. So many rooms are survivable, but are they all survivable while you keep yourself entertained? It's very important for you to be able to tell the time in many of the rooms, and this is the score that's gonna rank that, because oftentimes when you have limited resources, you need to know how to ration them, and not having a good sense of time could lead to you using your resources incorrectly and not surviving the 10 days. And finally, if you're gonna die anyways, let's hope that at least it's comfortable or pretty in some way. So I'll award a death score based on the quality of your death, and we'll award either a 9 or a 10 automatically to any room where survival is guaranteed, where 9 means there's still some danger of death. That's all you need to know. For the sticklers out there, on screen is a bunch of limitations of what we consider the room or not, so you can read those if you want, but in short, anything outside the room spawns cannot be stayed on, and we're assuming that anything within the room is as presented. If the room has a horse, we're assuming it's a real horse, and hopefully not one that hates lesbians. Alright, less yapping and more getting on with it. The yaps are being kept elsewhere for now. I am going worst to best, so to no one's surprise, the empty room is awful. Just you and your thoughts and maybe your shriveling reflection on the ground. You couldn't even tell the time, and your death would be so mind-numbing, I don't think you'd even be able to ponder your regrets. This one gets zeros across the board. Photorealistic.
Observe the evil horses from hell.
So this room's kind of a joke in the game, and I don't know how to grade it. In this video, I'm assuming that anything that's part of a 2D wallpaper can be physically visited but not stayed on. So maybe you could scavenge it for resources, but you can't stay there. It is not shelter, it is not food, it's just part of the speculation score. With the exception of the very few cases where there's something inside the room that implies there's more room on the other side. You're gonna see examples that are more specific when we get there. Now, heads up, I'm not being ultra consistent about this, but this room still served as some kind of dilemma, and my ruling is that this room is an exception, because this room is essentially empty besides the wallpaper, and it's completely outside of the game's art style. I'm deeming this room to actually be an empty room with painted walls, like a photo studio. So those aren't real horses, much like the game description implies. And the total score comes up to making this one of the worst rooms with 00111. Don't look at this room's ID in the NSTC versions. Tomodachi Life has 8 default rooms, and I think I shouldn't forget those. They're all empty except for a window, which is why they're so aggressively low. They're all 00XX0, but we can certainly rank them aesthetically to bump up those X's to like 2, maybe. I think my ruling will be at worst to best: independent female, confident male, independent male, easygoing male, outgoing female, confident female, outgoing male, easygoing female. There, it has been decreed by the king and shall now be taken as gospel. Detractors will be executed. Traditional Japanese. I was gonna give this extra points because it reminds me of Tatami Galaxy, but that looks like an 8 tatami room and they are not even arranged pretty like this. Instead, you get a room with nothing but a light. These rooms do tend to use the walls to hide closets, but this looks like the type of room you'd see in big households where the partitions actually just split up different rooms. So the results make it be here, extremely low. 00123. Colorful. This room looks like a psych ward. All the dice is throw 4, so you can't even play with them, and even the room's description says sleep should be difficult. Cool. That's sleep deprivation on top of having all of your needs at 0, though I guess you could sleep on the entryway, whatever. Regardless, the chances of food are extremely low. I like bright colors, so I'd rather die here than in other rooms, but it's still far from ideal. I'm gonna end up like Kat in that one episode of Victorious. Soccer. This one is returning and living the dream. Too bad it's actually awful for survival. Who doesn't want to spend 5 days in a stadium full of people who are literally excited to see you die? It goes beyond creepy straight into macabre. It seems the only soccer here would be you. Except, I mean, they are tiny. They likely have all sorts of diseases, but you could eat them. They're absolutely tiny in comparison. You either die the monster or kill them, becoming the monster yourself. Whoa. Still no water, so you'd be dead, just becoming a monster before you die. 40400. Training. Probably one of the most useless gyms in the history of ever, as any sort of workout is gonna get you to die faster, and there's no protein whatsoever, so you can't even make any gains. There's one ray of sunlight, and that's the punching bag. It's not very common, but it's true some punching bags are filled with water, so that could get you to live slightly longer, but ultimately, all you could do is watch as you become jealous of this one guy who is stuck running forever on the front of the treadmill, because at least he isn't trapped in here. 00513. I love how the last 2 rooms make it sound like I'm anti-exercise. I'm not. Always exercise properly, bitch. Garden. Flower garden, aka not the kind of flower with anything you could really eat. I know I'll give straight up plants a score of 1 in the off chance they could help, even though they're not really made for human consumption and could actually be detrimental to you, but I think this room goes right around to being a 0 because there's no way eating this many flowers is gonna result on anything but you dying faster. Like, at least one of them is gonna hurt you whenever you're delirious and eating the flowers. I've also given a lot of rooms a score of 1 because they have damp soil, which you could technically clean up if there's a cloth in the room, since you could filter it out that way and at least satiate the need on a surface level. I don't think it really hydrates you, but this room lacks any sort of cloth. The only thing that could maybe filter water here is these chairs, which maybe you could use to somehow filter the water, but I don't think you're gonna have a lot of luck. Maybe you could suck on the wooden planter for any water it may have sucked up over the years of being used. But regardless, it's gonna be a very pathetic place. At least it's gonna look somewhat pretty. I did ponder about using bees, since there's gotta be bees around to pollinate these flowers, but bees don't really produce any honey quickly. Even if you succeeded in creating a colony, it would take too long to get honey and would be too risky to harvest without any sort of protection. 00351. Children's. I'ma be honest, completely missed this one, so here's your review. 00433. Relaxing. Turns out the sex room isn't as good when you're alone. Instead, you get 7 lights and no food. That's what this interior should be called instead. At least you'll die in a state of super chill. 00370. Sparkle. Oh man, what a nice place to razzle and dazzle and subsequently dazzle. These cabinets probably only contain clothing, judging by what the rest of the room is, so at best, you'll actually figure out a fun outfit for your own funeral? The only liquid in this room is perfume, which is not very good, but you'll eat it regardless when you're insane because of thirst. 0-1542. At least the door looks like Powerpuff Girls. Boxing ring. It's kind of the same as the football room, but slightly better. You get a screen to actually watch the box being played, and you can revel on using the bell to defend the tiny people, so at least they leave instead of having to eat them. I mean, you can still do so if you wish, but I'll be scared of you forever. 40510. Roman. If you're a cow, maybe you could feed on the grass, but I'm gonna assume most of you aren't cows. I don't know why, but I woke up today and I figured I was gonna like cows more than usual. But yeah, there's almost no resources to work with here, though maybe you could get some water from the ground and some fire from hitting the ruins. None of it would substantially help survival. 10234. Versailles. The game can lie to you all it wants by saying this room is fit for a king, but the survival experience here would be miserable. You'd be blasted by sunlight entering from every single window all day long, and your only water source is about a liter of tea. Just enough for you to also have to suffer through feeling how your body starves even slower as you look at your life slipping away in the vanity every day. At most, you get lucky and get to break one of the windows to collect any rainwater from outside if it's a rainy season, but it can't actually rain in Tomodachi, so screw you either way, I guess? No, I'm being serious. This is a rule of the challenge. It cannot rain unless the room has some indication of raining. Lock Cabin. I don't know what I think about this one because there's no visible food and water, but there is a cupboard full of dishes and glasses. There's gotta be food somewhere around here. The locks apparently are freshly cut, which means they technically have some water in them, which you could technically remove if you're skilled enough, but I know I wouldn't be skilled enough to do that. And what's left is hoping that these drawers have some sort of water and some food in them. 01325. Skyscraper. Let's be honest, it is pretty, but it's kinda crazy that the fine dining location has no food and only wine, which would actually be more harmful to drink, so down the hatchet goes! Oh! 1 minus 1, 4, 6, 1. Fluffy. It looks like candy, but don't be fooled. It's just fluff. So bounce like it's the last thing you'll do, because it is. If it was giant gummies, you'd certainly have food to go around, but you'd still die. There's no way you get any hydration from gummies. 00551. Lady Jet Setter. At least you're gonna look dashing while you perish, because unless you've recently bought food and brought it home using shopping bags for some reason, at best you'll eat 2 plants and die. Maybe also try the trash can for wrappers to lick. 11622. Crystal. Oh, don't even try it. You will die here within 3 days. But it's gonna be the prettiest death in the history of maybe ever. I don't think there's many prettier places to die. I love this place. If you put me in your islands, this is one of the best places to shove me in. The best one is
Space.
Pirate. Yo ho, you're gonna get scurvy. Though you could eat the parrot for energy to get to like day 6, the lack of water makes killing it kind of a moot point. Just be friends. Have fun weighing all of these gems and coins that you'll most likely never get to use. I think this is one of those few situations where you genuinely think to yourself that you should have seen One Piece. Think about it. In a room with nothing to do, you're gonna be thinking like, oh man, this is just like One Piece. The one thing that I didn't want to get into because it was too long. And guess what? Now I have all the time in the world to get to it, at least before I die. It would be more entertaining than whatever this shit is. But there is always a bright side. At least you're getting a school friend when your flesh rots away, so yippee! 40521. Mask. In the dicky room, you're gonna die of dicky thirst. Yeah. Stop being funny real quick, didn't it? 10344. I love the fact that these rooms are completely unrelated. I reviewed them on different days, and yet still, the format of both reviews was exactly the same. Just referencing Disney music is a complete coincidence here. Purple, one of my favorite colors, but not my favorite room. Sure, drinking the coffee would result in more thirst, but at least give yourself a delight because the only thing left to do here is wait. 02244. Music. You can at least pick the soundtrack for your death. And it seems there's a lot of albums to listen to, so if you got any album that you really think you should listen to before you die, now's the time. You can also practice guitar or bass or whatever instrument this is. I'm not very well versed in 00850. Dying here would probably feel like dying at a crack den, like the one from the 1996 movie Trainspot. Polka Dot Light Green. It's as standard as rooms get. It's not looking good for you unless that suitcase has something besides extra outfits. 11434. Checkered. Very elegant, but unless that painting comes to life, yikes. This cabinet dictates whether you live or die. Let the games begin. 10444. Rock Glove. I've kept this one to myself long enough. Does this look like Murdoch Nicholas from Gorillaz to anyone else? No? And I don't mean my me of him, I mean the fella that's directly behind in that sticker in the wall. It's kinda messed up that the Rock Club, with tables to order Rock Club food and drinks, has no bar in the room. The game's descriptions are like, audience, but slime. You have no staff! 00851. Horror. I've never appreciated how cool this room is, so let's all keep a round of applause for it in the comments. It's actually so Dracula Caligula. I kinda wish this room had water, because the abundance of bat symbols kinda leads me to believe that the eyes are actually a bunch of bats. There's 19 sets of eyes, meaning if you kill every bat and rush to try to cook them by burning the couch with the candles and using one of these marble pillar slabs to place the meat in, you could actually net yourself a whopping 1,100 calories! So an extra day. Which you wouldn't live to because of thirst. And also probably you contracted like malaria or something from the bats not being properly cooked. 40334. Street. Yeah, do some flips and die because there's no water. Ever seen this angle? Huh? 00635. Cartoon. If it wasn't for the real window, you'd lose your mind living here. But at least you have a look to the outside, a tiny bit of water, and potential for food. No green eggs and ham, Gayamai would be proud of you. Think this is a cartoon. Couldn't it be likely that you can do some funny stuff like imagining some food really hard until it pops out of your thought bubble? No? No dice? 02354. Disco! For such a partyful room with 4 massive speakers, it sure sucks that there is nowhere to change the music. At least it still looks awesome. As for food and drink, it's not looking fantastic what with there being 2 glasses of liquid in the entire room and nothing else. And hopefully those liquids aren't alcoholic. I guess enjoy your time before you go kaput. 03471. Galactic. Oh boy, this is my favorite room because I love Space Nebula since I got the Nebula shirt in the original Animal Crossing. That was a life-defining moment. Obviously, the room's extremely low because even if you have good food and water, and it is pretty, this is outer space. There's no oxygen, no time to get bored, only enough pressure for your head to go pop. Wait! Steampunk. Steam machines do run on water, there's your drink, and this room does have an oven, but unless you can eat wire, you won't last more than 5 days. There's also a high chance that you end up flicking a lever or opening a bulb during your boredom and end up blowing yourself up like you're all 06423. Plant. Okay, let's try to figure out which plants in this room you could actually eat. Don't eat the cactus, you can't cook them, though maybe you could remove all the bricks by scraping it off. I nonetheless imagine they aren't really edible and probably hold no safe water. There's the possibility that these specific leaves are edible because they look edible, but this is a Tomodachi room for 3DS, so it's really hard to know what specific plant they are supposed to be to actually make an assessment. So yeah, no food. There's also no water anywhere, which I think is stupid for someone who lives in a house full of plants, as you'd probably end up caravanning liters of water every day. It's a little stupid if you ask me. 22434. European, a distinctively not gay room. Survival in this room and a few others depends a little on how stagnant the water in the base is. If you get real up close, you can see that developers didn't really make the base hollow because players aren't really supposed to be able to see what's inside. So we're gonna have to speculate. There's only 2 flowers, so even if the water's fresh, I don't think the whole base is filled up. You're looking at maybe an entire extra day of survival if the water is green, otherwise you're just chugging bacteria. To be fair, this is going to be your best innovator in the room, so you could give it a go. I don't think you're gonna get very good results. But hey, in your delirium, you'll at least have someone to talk to and an okay sense of time. 03454. You have to keep in mind that this whole stagnant water discussion was kind of relevant to a lot of rooms that have flower pots in them. I'm assuming you can drink them, it's a risky move, but when it's about survival or dying, I think most of us would take the chance of drinking the poison water. Heck, it may not even be a conscious decision. So yeah, for future rooms, I'm not gonna bring this up, but I'm still taking it into account with the ratings. Space Station. Well, there's a lot of beeps and bobs, but there's absolutely no food whatsoever, so play around with the buttons. Genuinely, what's gonna happen? Are you gonna crash into a space rock and die faster? Like, how is that a downside in this situation? At least you get to see a view of something that most people want, which is space. 00880. God damn it, we were so close. Secret base. Some people think tree houses would be a nice place to be in during a zombie apocalypse, you know, they can't climb. But this room proves why it really isn't the case. Sure, you've got a bunch of entertainment around, a radio, some comics, bunch of other crap you'd probably put into Stranger Things to get one tiny additional point of extra nostalgia. But no food. 10744. Bohemian, what is this poster? I feel like I'd go insane looking at it. With a flower pot and maybe a little extra in these bottles, there's a chance you'd actually barely make it. However, because taxidermy isn't very nutritious, you'll probably die after like 5 days. The game describes this room saying your possessions should reflect that you have no possessions, so I don't know how many things are even in this desk. 15433. Boys, well, there's some stuff to keep you entertained, but unless mom comes occasionally with a little something to eat and drink, you're gonna have to rely on some kid's hidden snack stash. Using my brother's snack stash as an example, he only has 2 cookies and 6 hard candy today. Make that 1 cookie. A perfect room to have a friend inside me. 00745. Library. Pretty nice place to pass the time, but doubtfully the best place to pass away in, is it? Is any of these books about using alchemy to conjure up food? Cause otherwise you're stuck eating paper if only to avoid feeling hungry. 00754. Exotic, like that word that people use to describe you when you're a little silly and they don't want to hurt your feelings. There's a little over a liter of water under this lotus, and it does look pretty clean, so you'd have water covered for the most part, at least just enough to last you the 10 days. The problem with this room is food. There's nothing edible in here. Maybe the cactus doesn't seem very nutritious. All things considered, at least you'll get to relax on a Thai triangle cushion, which is an activity so uncommon you probably didn't even know this was called a Thai triangle cushion. 16334. Arcade. If you ever feel like you want to be gamer, why don't you just lock yourself up in this room for 10 days? You're gonna have games to play, sure, but it's gonna be 4 versions of that one card minigame. You know the one from FNAF maybe? You get to play darts, but there are no darts here. The easiest Pong of all time, and then Atari Breakout and Vroom Vroom the game, I guess. You will notice that at no point did I mention food, so while this room may be fun, it will stop when your tummy starts grumbling. I do think it would be like a fun scenario if you could trade tickets earned here for food and water and whatnot, so I'm kinda sad to see the only reward here seems to be a plushy PNG. Pikachu or Poober? Place your bets. Also kind of a shame that this isn't the Tomodachi collection room because that one has Mario blocks and those would be super fun to play with and could actually get you to survive. We're not counting those, so 00863. Natural wood, you can eat the plants to gain a few hours maybe, but your best bet would be to hope there's something good in these drawers. And you get a lot of options. There's boxes of all shapes and sizes in here. 1, 2, 5, 3, 6. Sky. The thing about this room is that if you find yourself here, you may already be dead. Good news is, you'd be in heaven! They've already got Living the Dream up there, and maybe the next Dachi game that will release in April 2031. Only about a liter of tea here, not really a lot to do. Even if you're still alive, there's nothing but a few sugar cubes to eat here, so do what you want with that information. 1, 3, 3, 7, 8, 3. Halloween! Ooh, our first 10 when it comes to speculation. 6 hollow pumpkins, take it or leave it. But what do we do about the ghosts? Like, even the in-game description is kind of vague about it, and we do have the rule where everything in the room is real. On the one hand, ghosts are spooky. On the other, ghosts have sexy ghosts, but also can help you. If these are nice ghosts, there's the possibility that you could convince them to gather resources for you. The cost will probably be like your soul or something, but you'd live. Alternatively, you'd die and become one of them. So you could also try being really annoying to see if they help you just so they don't have to spend eternity with you. Which, bearing that thought, yeah, maybe one of the worst rooms to die in case you return as a ghost and get to bore yourself here every day for the rest of your existence. Or maybe you can escape like the ghosts do, I don't know. 232010. Modern Asian. Most antiquated modern room ever. The carpet doesn't even match the drapes, but it does match the random towel which is here for some reason, even though there's not an ounce of water in this entire place. Except for this plant. I love having 2 empty plates. Let's just hope there's also no water in this 2-liter bottle so you die of thirst instead of starvation. 15434. Train. There's an apple and 2 breads here, so you kinda depend on the outside landscape for anything extra. Maybe try your luck on the phone to see if anyone comes. You can also try opening the other door and check if it takes you to an identical room, in which case your problems are over. Enjoy your infinite apples and breads while you go on a 10-day road trip. I wouldn't really count on that though. 21338. Mid-century modern. I adore this aesthetic, so I'm immediately giving this one a 9 in fun. Too bad there is nothing to do and likely nothing to drink but mid-century alcohol. That said, maybe in this future, they figured out how to make people immune to starvation so they can keep working on creating product for profit forever. 0-1954. Girls! Bunny. You could get lucky, but I wouldn't expect anything but to cuddle a giant plush bunny until I died. Your life is being gambled on the contents of these drawers, except for one which apparently has comics that mother can't know about, so gooning might be on the table unless you're not into guys or giant rabbits, I guess. 11547. Medieval. Definitely looks like a fun room to live in, but to survive? Since everything here is a display, I doubt these glasses have any liquid, and the most edible thing here is the candle wax, which I'd advise against eating. You get to wear and destroy pieces of history. There's plenty of sharp stuff around to practically dismantle the room in search for resources, so I know it's gonna be interesting and pretty memorable, but I don't think you're making it past day 8, at best. There's a slight chance you could get water. The thing about fireplaces is that they need an escape. If this escape leads to the outside, you could potentially get rainwater through this method, but either the fireplace has to be made badly, or you're going to need to climb it every time to reach a spot where you can collect the rain. Plus, I repeat, no rain in Tomodachi Life, so it's looking bad. 001044. Country, I guess, side. Do you guys think these hold cookies? It doesn't really matter because there's no water. It would simply slightly improve your death experience, trademark. You can play with this doll and sweep the room until your legs give out. 20547. Flower Meadow. The rainbow does imply it's recently rained, so I guess maybe we could assume that the air does have some amount of rainwater or dew that can be routinely collected, but the only food is 3 butterflies, which also happen to be the only entertainment here. At least your death will be somewhat peaceful, if you don't avidly hate bugs, that is. 08254. Rain. Whoa! Beggar simulation room! At least water won't be a problem, but everything else is gonna be super inconvenient. You are gonna be soggy. You'll get to sing in the rain and later die dramatically though, which is neat, kinda. 010243. Pumpkin patch. You'd think food here wouldn't be a problem because of the pumpkins, but it is. Pumpkins are 90% water, meaning eating one would hydrate you more than it would help you feel something. Make you feel full. Each may have like 400 millimeters of water, and there's only 9, so you could barely live off this water, but unless those distant barns have some amount of food, you'll die in 5 to 7 days. And it's sunny, so it's probably extremely boring. 36334. Tiled. It's pleasant, but even though it seems to have a lot of places to put cookies and other small foodstuffs, it doesn't really seem like water is on the table, as evidenced by the 4 empty tables. 60445. Monochrome. A TV, some books, pipes, but I'm not sure there's much to say when it comes to food. If all of these spots are full, you'd get about 3 liters of water, but since there's no real food, you'd eventually expire. I would no doubt end up making a call to this orb. 05635. Laugh. If you thought eating the yellow slow was perilous, you have no idea about what the green water would do to you. But you would painfully melt inside out. It's a mystery what these beakers have, but the purple and green ones are smoking, so drinking those would be kinda dumb. The blue ones could be something. There's one that kinda looks like watercolored, but look, I'ma be honest, I wish as much as the next guy that these tubes are actually just filled with Mountain Dew and everything's good and happiness, but let's be honest with ourselves, this entire room is nothing but a death trap. You can shock yourself, melt yourself, drown yourself, explode yourself, clone yourself? The best thing you could do in this room is just blow it all to high heaven and try to end it in the most coolest badass way possible, because the alternative is just dehydration. And that is so uncool compared to the super explosion of doom. 00884. Dressing. Can you believe there's not a single bottle of spraying water in this dressing room? That is a nitpick, there's a faucet over there. In order to feed, we must look at the clothing in here and see if there's anything that looks edible, aka anything made of silk, really. And thus, we'll actually manage to gain an hour or 2 before we perish, and likely a painful intestinal blockage. So in the end, you'd probably end up eating something you shouldn't and dying in day 5 or 6 while in horrible pain from trying to ingest clothing. 110414. Christmas! Do you believe in Santa? Because if you do, you could actually maybe survive this room. Imagine you write him letters and he just visits you every night with new gifts. Otherwise, there may be snacks in the stockings or gifts, but it's probably all candy, no water anywhere. 10658. 2 Santas in the room? That's just greedy slime. Elegant. There's a cup of coffee here that could give you the shits one last time. Caffeine is bad for hydration, so maybe avoid the cup. While there's plenty to read, I'm not sure food and water are the same way. However, there's a non-zero chance that there is some in this big cool drawer. These could hold anything. Water? The Declaration of Independence? A tiny version of Tobey Maguire? 11666, the videos turned evil. Cinema. A cup of soda, a small bucket of popcorn, and Star Wars Episode 4 playing infinitely through the projector. Hey, some slimes went to the Disney Star Wars experience, so this can't be all that bad, right? Oh, 1118999881199119725 Nah, I'm just pulling your leg. 2267. 3. Gamer. Part 2. Playing GameCube in this screen wouldn't be much fun, your neck would hurt. I think I'm good with playing Chibi Robo on my Switch 2 with Nintendo Online. Also, this room only has 3 SNES titles and the rest is NES titles. Lucky for you, this is Tomodachi Life and its logic applies. If any of these games has a final boss that is food, you could get that food by being gamer and beating that game repeatedly, just like with Tomodachi Quest. This game here looks like Ice Climbers, where the final boss is a Condor, food. But then no games come to mind with water or fire. Maybe you could kill some final boss that uses fire and water and try dismantling their corpse for fun. I mean for survival. But since it's only games pre-1996 on original hardware, I'm giving entertainment a small penalty. 00668. Floral. For a room called Floral, isn't it silly that it only has 2 flower clumps in total? Whereas yet there is no comfortable, obvious way to water them, meaning whoever lives here goes on a journey every day to water them and keep them alive, which is what I said about the other apartment, huh? The 2 dressers don't seem like the kind of place where water would fit, but one of these spots does have a little platform underneath in case it leaks, so it feels like there's gotta be some water around that can be used relatively often. No food though, so anyways you'd die after a bit. At least no one's gonna know if you get particularly smelly in here. 13557. Tropical Resort. This plate of fruits must have something like 900 calories tops. 80 for the pineapples, 270 for the apples, 60 for the grapes, 80 for the blueberries, 100 for each banana, 60 for the papaya, and assuming this is a guava, 180. So while it could be good hydration, you're going to need to make your best not to use as many calories as possible. The upside is a pretty view on infinite water. Essentially, survival here depends on how good you are at conserving your energy, which doesn't leave a whole lot of room for entertainment. But even then, there's not a lot to do in this room. 410241. Bicycle. Room for a bike freak. I bet this guy gets in the way of city traffic all the time. There's about 3 liters of water in these thermoses, maybe even 4, which would be enough to barely make it. The thing is, I don't think cyclists bring around much food during their rides. Besides maybe a bit of gels and bars in case they're going on a marathon type ride. So let's assume they are, Marathons last 5 to 8 hours for 100 meters, and it's recommended you have about 300 calories each hour, skipping the first. So about 3 days of minimal eating and calories, assuming this guy is a freak and just follows all the rules. Essentially, this guy's hobby could save your life, and that's kinda silly. Plus, I'm not even counting all the extra bars and supplements that could be in this cabinet, so it's kinda sad that you're so limited to barely surviving on this amount of water and food, because otherwise you'd probably come out of this room having learned to ride a bike if you haven't. 15438. Classroom. Tomodachi Life has 2 classroom interiors, one for Japan and one for other places. So you know what? I'll rank both. The Japanese one has a piano and a little fish tank with a lot of water. No food besides those 3 tiny fish though, about 300 calories. You could probably watch some educational tapes to kill the time, but unlike time, you're quite mortal. I think this here is supposed to be one edition of Jump, but mostly because I'd find the idea funny. 27634. The US one seems to have a computer, but it's probably unusable given there is no tower. But okay, let's assume this is one of those money pewters, or whatever they are formally called. So good, you got your entertainment, but even though 70% of the Earth is water, this statistic falls down to 0% when the Earth is on a poster, leaving us at a wonderful 10836. The Japanese one's the winner! That said, maybe you could have a genuine higher chance in the room with a computer. For this challenge, I did allow all computers to browse Amazon and get stuff delivered to them if there is a way to sell the items in the room, so I guess you could try on eBay or something. I would take the risk. On the upside, if that was the case, you guys would know I perished in a horrible thought experiment created by the lords of Dachi. Hobby. This pride flag has been here since 2013 and we still pretend we weren't getting homosexuality. And apparently pronouns? Please, let me out of here! Do you think you could eat these guys? I just want to pick them up with my grabbers and nom 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 nom. I presume these bottles have water and food, but I don't know how much of each. I'm assuming it's 3 liters between all the bottles, while the big one probably has food because the hole on top is bigger, so you could fit your hand in there, or food items or whatever. But most likely what awaits you here is nothing but a mildly entertaining death. 25852 Palindrome Grade. Bathhouse, another example of a room with 2 versions, one in Japan and one outside, and it's a complete coincidence that they're scored somewhat of the same. However, both versions here are kinda similar, both have access to similar resources, with the international one taking the crown on just being slightly more comfortable with the towels and the mood, as well as the smallest drawers ever that maybe could give you some extra resources to make death here slightly less sufferable. It's true there's more water in the Japanese one since it's actually got faucets, but there must be gallons of water in the baths already. You could have one to soak and one to drink and still have enough water for however long it takes for you to starve. 110452. Bedroom style. This one's exclusive to Korea, where royal bedrooms are just better, I guess. This one has a few pots with potential water and a bunch of drawers where you could hope there is something of worth. You might even be able to clean the water from this plant if push comes to shove. 04558. Meadow. I got a closer look at these flowers with free cam and it's comedically done. I think I just ruined this room for both of us forever. The rainbow does imply it's recently rained, so maybe we could assume the air does have some amount of rainwater or dew that could be routinely collected, but the only food is 2 birds, which also happen to be the only entertainment here. At least your death will be somewhat peaceful. 38264. Lockers. I genuinely doubt anyone's keeping anything more than electrolytes in their gym lockers, which wouldn't matter anyways because there's 3 showers for you to cry in. Now go do whatever it is people do at gym showers, just I think it's better if we keep this room in your gay little fantasies, alright? 010733. Yellow. Dude, this room is full of cool things like this cat poster. Though, do try to get rid of whatever they drew in this whiteboard as quickly as humanly possible. What are you, you creature? This room has boxes upon boxes of papers with hopefully client information, which you could probably sell to OpenAI or whatever for a quick buck that you can then use to buy some stuff to eat or whatnot by using the computer. On the off chance that doesn't work, it's a known fact yellow makes people happy, so you'll at least die less sad. 11848. Office. It's an office, alright. I still hate whatever this whiteboard is. Tragically, this room comes without a water cooler, so can you really call this an office? You only get half a glass of tea and whatever's in this bag your coworker Gladys left here. There may be a few snacks around if you look through the lockers of the other workers, but your best bet is going to be within the computers. If you can make some quick money here and find a way to obtain and use it, you could secure water and food for yourself and survive. What a surprise that a lot of the rooms that have this solution are all kinda grouped together, huh? 22928. I just noticed 22. Wedding. Here's the one time crushing a wedding by engulfing the cake would be acceptable. Wedding cakes are layered because the servings are 2, with each tier having more servings. This cake should have about 44 servings, so it's quite small, but considering each slice has upwards to 600 calories, you'd probably be well fed. Well drank though, I have some bad news. These glasses look completely empty. No sip for you except for a few 48 strawberries, which could only help you survive until like day 5. 93344. Scandinavian, this one is just a room. It's got 3 sets of drawers, and I imagine this one has writing supplies, while this one has discs or something like that. I don't expect it to have video games because it's very retro. The last one could be your last hope for finding food and water though, if you're lucky. But you know what this room has that the others don't? Freely lamp. Freely lamp. 11787. Gothic. Though there's a view to the outside, it's so clear that I don't think rain is very likely. You could eat the bird and cook it using the fire that's already in the room, but before you consider that, notice how this room has a little kitty. It also looks like a house cat, so it's almost guaranteed that these drawers are going to hold a bit of water and cat food, which a standard human could partake in for nutrition. Yes, really. You can also just eat the cat if push comes to shove. And the bird too. It's gonna be a bloodbath in here, isn't it? 40579. Wait, is that a Mordecai? Ice. Ooh, this room is pretty. Kind of a shame that unless this cabinet is the most cleverly disguised fridge of all time, you're not going to survive. The temperature here must also be horrible, so you may actually freeze to death while attempting to melt as much of the room into water, even if you put this tablecloth and carpet as outfit. Dude, Gucci should get on this. I know these are ice lamps, but why do they look succulent? 08585. I knew I'd get your password right eventually. Wild West. With loads to drink, there's gotta be some non-alcoholic stuff in there. And I guess for the trade of your life, you could accept a little liver damage. Heads up that 10-gallon hats do not count as water.
Have you seen this man in your dreams?
But for food, we could speculate that there's food here because it's a cantina. They tended to have some edible stuff, but by manipulating the camera I can show you that that's not really the case. I'm still awarding a few points in speculation because most players probably won't be able to see in here, so they probably didn't bother to put many details. The only likely food is here, but the second you open up these bags and see that it's sand instead of grain, you'll basically know if you'll die or not. And if you will, you better start drinking as much as you can until you don't even realize what's happening. Yikes, that got dark. I need to cheer up. The new Tomodachi is releasing in 12 days, yippee! Or maybe 11, or maybe 10, or maybe 9, or maybe 8, or maybe 6. I'm so bad at keeping up with my deadlines! 06488. Japanese garden. There's a type of food around this persimmon tree, about 400 calories worth, as well as a bit of tea that you could ration to last you until day 6. If you save your energy, you maybe have a chance. That's all assuming the interior of this house doesn't count as part of the room. If it does, you're practically just giving yourself a little vacation by staying here. 4 4s and a 10. And then +1 because I changed my mind, but I wanted to say 4 4s. Yes, twice, because I'm that greedy. Humble is a mumble in the jungle. More food and water than you'd think, though not enough to survive. Right outside the bounds of the room where you'd be drying your clothes, there's an entire bridge. The fact that your clothes are wet alongside this, I think there likely is a river down there. Even if it's not, this room does have a flower pot, a mug, and a big can full of water that's consistently being leaked from the ceiling, meaning it can be reliably collected from this location. Food on the other hand is not looking very good. You have a hand stove with a pot, which even if the pot is filled, I don't imagine you could last too long on this. Once again, you'll have to rely on the river also having fish, but considering there's no indication of this whatsoever in the room, I can't give it a higher score. Oof. 38557. Jail cell. Are you good at washing moss? Because if you are, living in this dingy cell is genuinely more survivable than living in like a normal room or in an arcade. Thing is, you could theoretically eat moss to live, but you'd probably need to wash it really well. This room gives you a faucet and even a toilet. I have not discussed this aspect of survival much yet, but waste disposal is kind of important in the rooms where you can eat. Being in a stinky room wouldn't be very nice. I'm just neglecting it because, being realistic, you just leave it in a corner or bury it or throw it out the window hoping it falls on someone, you know who. Point is, it's nice to have a room where the issue of poop is fake while the issue of cloth is very much real. You're going to have to use this mug somehow to at least scrub the moss before eating it. You may get real sick, you may get so sick you'd go right back to dying, but it's much better than other rooms have it. Finally, you could speculate about the hole. Does everything beyond it count as part of the room? In which case, you may actually benefit from continuing to dig that out all the way to the exit, if you manage not to get stuck in there. All in all, a very workable room, and worst case scenario, you can roleplay part of Count of Monte Cristo. That's 5-10-3-1-10. Young Dog Dai style. Exclusive to Korea, this room has a tree and a bunch of other Korean stuff. These pots you see hold different Korean spices, sauces, and kimchis, none of which have any water that isn't at least 70% salt. Maybe if you can figure out how to distill the kimchi water into drinkable water using the pot lids, you'd have some luck. But either way, the Yangdeok-dae is a pretty secret place and you may ultimately anger a god of some kind. I like how many birds they put in this room, it's kinda pretty. 10, 4, 4, 6, 5. Tropical Beach. Did someone order a classic survival scenario? Because this one seems well prepared. Sure, you get a few drinks, but past that, you'll need to work to keep yourself alive. You may be able to use the shrubs and trees to make a fire, maybe even get some glass action going to make it easier on you. You're going to need to get clever using these glasses and seashells to actually get some drinkable water. You know, just distilling it somehow. After that, for food you have a crab, but we can assume this is not the only one at the beach. You will need to spend some time harvesting them since they're not calorie heavy, but it can be done. And with that all taken care of, you should probably keep yourself around the shade. It's never going to be nighttime here, so you'll get thirstier and have more trouble sleeping. TLDR, it's a hard one, but I think you can live it if you're talented or lucky enough. There's also speculation to be had about the surrounding area. For all you know, this is just to the side of a resort and there's a special waiter routinely coming around to give you drinks and then thirst wouldn't be a problem. Stuff like that. 65568. Blossoms. Beautiful spot for a picnic. It's incredibly serene and being here is probably amazing in any other situation. However, this is a harsh and serious survival, meaning it is time to get rationing. There's plenty of food. If you look at pics of these sandwiches in real life, they look fucking incredible. I'm writing this at 2:40 AM and I'm getting super hungry. Not anyways, it's happened again. 15 sandwiches, all of which have different nutritional values. I did count, but it's just numbers. Point is, you'd survive on the sandwiches alone if you kept it at eating the deep fried katsu once every other day and doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner with the other sandwiches one a day. Plus, you also get to eat half a baguette, a nugget, and 1/3 of a banana every day. That's basically a balanced meal. On the best days, you'll eat all the calories you'd need. Now, you may have realized that I completely ignored the very obvious fruit, and that's because fruit is going to be your source of hydration. In this entire room, between the thermoses and the fruit, there's only like 3 liters of water, which could let you live for almost 9 days. That's not 10 days. While all of this happens, you're going to need to secure yourself at least 800 extra milliliters of water, 16 ounces, and I think that's possible. We are assuming that the climate is frozen during your stay within the room, so I don't think it will rain even if cherry blossom seasons is indeed a time where a lot of rain happens. But these trees look like they are thriving, meaning you could potentially take a bet and try squeezing out some muddy water out of the underground soil. If you catch on early, you may be able to collect some extra water from the petals and grass, meaning that somehow surviving this room is possible. An achievement for sure, but possible. There's even a bit of leeway considering the bananas and sandwiches may also have some moisture in them, as soon as they don't go bad too quickly. 95556. Western. This room itself has no food, and though you could argue there's water in the cacti, you needn't do something so silly. After all, wagons were invented to carry heavy amounts of items necessary to live comfortably for months on end during desert trails, and since there's no one around, there's no chance to contract the most popular of diseases. Dysentery. Actually, the description mentions snakes, which means there is food, just the kind of food that eating it can apparently make guys crack a boner somehow. 664510. The whole snake boner thing is a complete myth it seems, but I choose to believe it. Antique. This room has a lot of music to go through, like you would not finish listening to all the music here if you played it subsequently the moment you enter the room. There's a cupboard with all sorts of tea related items, so I imagine that since this is the tableware, under here is a bunch of stuff to indulge in tea related food. There's a high chance you'll be fine as soon as the ticking of the grandfather clock doesn't drive you insane. 66758. Golden. Getting gifted this room in real life would be insane, so if you could survive here, you'd be set for life. And you know, you'd think the problem with this room would be sustenance, but not actually. Okay, so maybe they have a metallic golden sheen. But what's to say this isn't just a coating and inside is just a bona fide real golden pear? 2 1-meter golden pears would have enough calories and water to last you the winter. That's 3 months, as that I got by scaling the resources by grammage of a regular pear. You'll live even if you're horrible at rationing the pear, since the passage of time in here will be completely unknown. Now the real problem is getting out of here. There's no door. In-game the door just comically opens up out of nowhere. So far, I've assumed you simply get warped out of the room after 10 days. So for as much as I wish to give this room a bad grade and fail it just because I wanna laugh at the people who took this gamble on greed without thinking of the situation through, I made my choices, and so ultimately 6, 6, 3, 7, 10. Cave, the kind of room that melts your heart away. Not too shabby. This cave has a small pond from which you could collect some water, and you have a backpack which is presumably supplied to go on a long excursion through the forest, which I'd wager is stocked super well. Caveat, the room describes having bears around, so you may die in an unfortunate encounter. 7, 10, 3, 4, 9. Prehistoric. Being realistic, I'm not sure how this room would work. These animalocaris are tiny, these nautilus are floating in the air, and those trees just kinda cut off, so let's assume this mess is exactly as presented. There's a lot you can do in this room, from trying extinct animals to dinosaur eggs, that is if you are willing to create a new worldwide pandemic from the Paleolithic era. The room description tells you to be careful about this big dino, but what kind of mother would keep her babies in this position? This is so dangerous for the babies because you could actually just yoink them and be unreachable by the big dino. Now keep in mind, these are baby eggs, so it's gonna be more gross than your classical sunny side up egg, but you can prepare them on the tiny volcano rock. That same volcano rock which is touching the water, so it's probably getting a lot of water that you could probably drink. So how do I rate this room? Because it could either be an awesome survival experience or an absolute chaos that defies the laws of physics and ends up in you getting a ball of boiling lava to the face just seconds after the room begins. I wish I was joking, but you could genuinely make an actual thesis out of trying to simulate what would actually happen if this room was real. 10, 6, 8, 3, 8. Fast food. This is an amazing room. I want to live here for 10 days. Craziest fantasy ticket to live. Food all around. Except fuck you, I lied. Fast food goes bad unfresh after no more than 12 hours, so you're going to need to be smart about this. Any meat has to be eaten as soon as you get into the room. That's a lot of calories that you're gonna wanna save. Grab the sandwich lettuce and use its coldness to wrap around portions of food, and then keep that in the corner of the room that's the least warm, covered up by the giant cup of fries. You're basically creating an impromptu refrigerator to reduce food rot. Keep as many of the fries, breads, and veggies raised to avoid them getting contaminated from the floor, which is going to rot by day 2. On day 1, eat as much as you can. This is the day you actually get to live that dream. Afterwards, the only thing that's truly infinite is the soda, and beware it's gonna lose its gas eventually. And so, you're left with a room that almost sounded extremely fun, but realistically wouldn't be. After 4 days, the smell on your nose would be unbearable, and you'd have nothing left to do but try to condense the mess into the side hallway. 10, 10, 10, 10, minus 4. Campfire. Camping is the lowliest form of wilderness survival, and can range from your rich grandpa's country club to "Honey, grab the kids, there's a bear outside!" In this case, I think you will have quite a bit of resources. S'mores, according to the room description, but also at least enough food for 2 people based on the chairs. Extend that to the average camping trip duration, so there's gotta be like 6 days of good nutrition somewhere in the tent, which you could split up further down to survive the whole 10 days and maybe another 2. I also doubt wild animals are a problem considering there's a sleeping bag outside for stargazing, but there could still be dangers after the fire dies out. Still, a comfortable survival experience because camping isn't actually survival, it's just sleeping uncomfortable at the trade of tasty s'mores, cozy fires, and pretty stars. 6, 6, 7, 9, 10. Alright, we're finally at the rooms that have a score of 40 or higher, which means these rooms are not only insanely survivable, they're relatively comfortable to just be in for the 10 days. Any of these rooms consider the ones you should stay in if you're locked in a room and not living your best me life. The lowest in this tier is the family one. There's a fridge and a cupboard, as well as a TV with a bunch of movies you can watch since there's no DVD player. Still, this means that as soon as you pace yourself, you'll be super fine. You can tell the time and it may be a little bit mind-numbing, but very survivable. 88868. Mystery. What do I even say about this one? You're gonna go on an insane, unpredictable journey. Maybe the men in black shoot you in the spot for what you just witnessed. Maybe the aliens abduct you and you go to space and they probe you like a cow. Maybe Mothman is sucked directly into the UFO beam, locking it and causing it to crash into the tiny Nessie, who in its rage becomes huge and starts chugging Moai statues, which the Sasquatch confuses for a football and starts playing catch with Braxy, all the while you drink the water from the pond of knowledge, which fills you with unimaginable dread as you realize the only truth in the universe is that of the chemical composition of paprika! My guess is 10, 10, 10, 0, 10? Industrial. Is that a fully stocked fridge, a super TV, a top-end sound system, and a bunch of books and music to read and listen to? Hell yeah! I wonder what this side table has, but even if it's not edibles, this is practically the room I want to live in. 7, 6, 10, 8, 10. No, seriously, I should take notes and try to make my room like this. Showa era. It has a little bit of everything you'd need. There's a big jug of tea water, I presume about 3 liters. There's also a cabinet with sosais and vinegar, which leads me to believe that this room must have enough rice to last an entire week. It is also based on Japanese culture, where diets involve a lot of rice. Next to that is a fridge, so you're basically set on the nutrition department. Entertainment here may be a bit antiquated, but if you get bored, you can throw a pillow fight with yourself using the cushions. I'll get ya! No! Nate? You can tell the time, the room's got incense that probably smells real nice, and push comes to shove, you can get unwise to this poster. I mean, you can maybe call someone on the 50s phone. 9691010. Hospital. How's your medical knowledge? I imagine if you stayed on standby and pricked yourself a bunch, you could survive the entirety of the 10 days on the banana drip. But you're going to need to be good at channeling a needle, and I imagine I'd end up stabbing myself in a nerve and regretting it forever. There's also a cabinet full of different medicine, which probably includes many supplements that could provide nutrition or hydration. You'd just have to know what they are unless you want to try your luck. Essentially, you could be in a scenario where you're either thrive or suffer in this room. But before you go trying your luck, there is, in fact, a computer in this room which you can probably use to figure out what you're about to put in yourself or how, while also making whoever owns this room look like the worst doctor in the planet. How to inject IV drip? What is a quinoa? What is the big machine you shove your arm into called? Minecraft free download. Can an IV drip be drinked like juice? As a bonus, you can also invade the privacy of all of the patients named in this room, so pretty much there's lots to do and lots to feed and drink on if you know or can learn how to do it. If you die, you'd still be just at the right place to do that. 7710 Never rich. Now, if you really want to get rich from this experience, this is the room for you. It's kinda boring, but the excitement of taking that diamond with you would make the entire experience worth it. You get to have half a koi fish for every meal, have a convenient base to put your poopies into, and if you happen to eat any parasites from the fish, you can just pay for treatment later. Fun fact, this is actually the room that gave me the idea for this video, not the fast food one, which is kind of crazy. 910699 Pet cage. This one's for all of you furries who follow me. Yes, the hamster room is insanely survivable. Between the giant water holder, which I think is supposed to look full even though it looks kind of empty, but I'm assuming it's full, and the head-sized sunflower seeds that are probably going to result in you gaining weight by the end of this, you're more than set. You may get bored, and you may return to normal life with a compulsion to squeak and eat exclusively with 2 grabbers, but what's a new eating quirk in the grand scheme of things? 10-10-6-10-7 Seabed. You'd probably think that you'd drown in this one immediately, but there's one safe haven. All you gotta do is not go all the way into the room. Between the door and the actual room, there's always this blank space in the apartments, and you can absolutely use that. In fact, I've already talked about using it before in a lot of rooms. Here, there's no water, and so you'd be able to comfortably survive for at least 3 days while looking at the beautiful aquarium. Yes, I'm assuming the water doesn't fill the empty space because it's more fun that way. After that, I'd say it depends a lot on the person being stuck here. For example, while the room is filled with water, we can assume it is salt water, so you'd have to be pretty ingenious using the things within the room to secure drinkable water and food, assuming you don't do anything to anger the manta ray or the shark. This sunken ship is made out of wood, but I imagine you'd have to dry those planks, which doesn't seem very plausible in under 3 days. Perhaps the ship has dry cavities under the sand that could have useful resources like rope or dried wood, which leads us to a fire, which you could then use to boil seawater and distill it into freshness. I don't know if you could also use the natural oils within the fish as a more reliable way to make a fire from the smaller pieces of wood. So let's not consider much of these. By the way, I haven't pointed this out much throughout the video, but animal blood is not a good source of hydration because it has too much salts for your body to process it without using its own hydration, so it's a very bad strategy and hence why we don't use it. Point is, you want a fire in this room. These rocks here are conveniently pot-shaped and are absolutely usable for that purpose, so now the matter becomes skill and luck. I also realized in the shower that there actually could be another really clever solution to this, and that is the iron door. This room does seem to receive a bunch of sunlight, not just visually, its fauna also lines up with those on shallow reefs. This sunlight, with some luck, could cause the water to condense onto the iron door, which you could then lick for moisture. Okay, so maybe you really are Chuck Norris and managed to pull this off. May he rest in peace. You are not the only one who has to eat in this room. Sharks tend to not eat too often, but you absolutely could run into the situation where you're competing with the shark for food. You are going to need some foresight if you don't want to rely on luck. Though I do see there's a lot of angelfish and damselfish in here, so maybe I'm overblowing it. Not to mention the game's own description implies this slime is vegetarian. Probably. And as for fun, unless you really get off the challenge, you're gonna need something, and you could build a sandcastle. All in all, it's gonna take a lot of skill and a lot of luck, but I genuinely think this one is survivable. It's just gonna be a Herculean task. 10, 8, 8, 8, 10. Wizard. Ooh, you get 2 massive pots of concoction. I'd try them. Let's just hope I don't end up turning into a walking talking maraca or something. Reasons why I don't think that would happen. Number 1, you can see this room belongs to a herbal wizard, not an evil frog-leg super kill you spell kind of wizard. It means the plants and containers are probably mostly edible, and let's hope also yummy. And number 2, vibes. I'd actually be super okay being stuck here because there's a lot of books that I could use to learn how to do magic wizard stuff for like fun, and like I'd become a super cool wizard with super cool wizard powers. That is someone's childhood dream, and mine was being a YouTuber. 8, 7, 10, 9, 10. Kitchen. Whoa, a kitchen. I'd be surprised if this one wasn't survivable. You'd even have the chance to try a few recipes if you use ingredients you don't often have at home. I'd personally cook myself into a burrito using the funny rock, because there's no way I'm gonna be entertained here, unless the giant comes by the window. Then I'd call the entire experience worth it. 10, 10, 5, 10, 9. Sweets. According to the game, everything here is edible, so food is the least of our concerns. The most is definitely water. We do have limited water in the strawberries, but let's be frank, these are huge. Any hydration you need is gonna be in them. Talk about easy survival as soon as they don't go bad. If they go bad, it's gonna be a little harder. So it's not a perfect solution, but it certainly gets there. Wait, everything in the room is edible? Even the books? Talk about consuming knowledge. 10, 8, 8, 10, 9. Garage. The game itself describes this one as fun, and it does have a bunch of tools, little toy cars, the broom itself, but in order to rank this one, we're gonna need to also rank Art Gallery. These rooms are very different, but they actually share the same car, so I can practically tell you that these rooms are both the same. They connect to one another. This is good for the garage because the garage itself has all the fun, while the art gallery has the giant food and a toilet flower. It's possible it's not connected to any water because it's modern art, but it's also possible that it's connected to super water because it's modern art. I mean, it's never gonna be as modern art as Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, a movie that really showcases the frivolity. Hold on, that's for another video. Dude, you get to play the broom broom in the penile tiki statue. That's a combination of words that only a mother could love. And damn it, I think I have a new son. 10, 8, 9, 10, 8. Winter. One of the few rooms where your immediate problem may not be food and water, and it's the cold. Also, one of the few rooms where you can immediately solve the biggest problem. Ta-da! Here's an igloo. The contents of the igloo are a mystery. I expect heat and maybe a fire, but since there's no visible food, let's assume there is none. Outside, you get a lot of food. Sadly, the 2 carrots and 6 berries from the ice sculptures here aren't enough to sustain you. Maybe you could argue that you could go forage in the forest even though it's perpetually night here, but the most likely scenario here is that you'll have to eat one of these penguins. Only one. You could eat all 3, but to survive, you only need 1, since penguins have a lot of fat and could give you upwards to 5,000 calories each. Maybe. I'm going off on data from the shadiest site imaginable because lo and behold, no one actually wants to eat penguins. Honestly, this site is amazing and from 1996. It seems they are right that penguins have a lot of calories, I made sure, but look at how charming this joke of a site is. Flaming penguin kebab? The disclaimer here rocks. Read the recipes, and it's just one recipe of a single guy who is angry at the Pittsburghs. Combat survival manual, what to do when the bastards get inside. But eyes. Is that Bevis threatening a penguin with a chainsaw? Wait. There's a bird called a squaw. I've got that, of course. Point is, I'm radicalized now. These penguins are gonna die anyways because there's no pawns here, so just do them a favor. 9, 10, 9, 10, 8. The second best room, Fairy Tale. Being that these are most likely fairy tale fairies, I think you could have a genuine dialogue with them about how their existence is simply due to an experiment surrounding you, and that will break them one way or another. Either they think you're insane and want to help you because they feel bad for you, or relegate themselves to help you survive as some kind of messiah. Or a third secret option where they peel off your skin like your string cheese, but that's honestly the most terrifying thought I've consciously had in years. If they refuse to help, you still have a small pond around the tiny castle and a unicorn you can turn extinct for dinner. But since the room description says you're the owner of the castle, I seriously doubt that they won't do their best to help you, the little darlings, making this one of the most fun and survivable rooms. You get magic at your fingertips, you get to command a bunch of fairies. It's like a wonderful dream reality. The question is, how limited is fairy magic? For all you know, you will have to kill the unicorn eventually because fairy magic in fiction ranges a lot. Maybe it's not able to conjure food, maybe it is. I don't know. If you do, please send me a fairy because I want to do so many nice wishes like wishing for world peace and infinite food. 10, 10, 10, 9, 8. So, what ended up being the most survivable room in Tomodachi Life? If you're familiar with the game, you already know, and that's awesome, but if you're not, I'm about to tell you. It's the Arabian room. You may not believe me at first that this is the best situation, but hang in there. So, survival in this room depends on how deranged you are. This room has an entire camel to work with, a camel that can potentially be holding a substantial amount of disgusting, but ultimately drinkable digestion water. You may need to filter it using a cloth from around the room, and most importantly, you will have to kill the little guy in order to retrieve it. But the guy is food and water. Paired with the books, it's gonna be tragic, it's gonna smell real bad after a few days, but you're absolutely going to survive and keep yourself entertained if you can find a way to kill and harvest the camel. Cool, now that we consider that, let me direct you to the magic lamp in the other corner of the room! As the rules say, anything within the room is magically that thing, but in real life. Same way this camel would be a real camel, that magic lamp would be a real magic lamp, rather than an incense burner, which is probably what it is supposed to be in reality. Point is, there was no need to kill that camel, you dingbat! This room is incredible in this scenario because not only could you escape, you could ask the genie for all kinds of stuff. Even if we assume you have to stay in the room for those 10 days, and you have to use one of your wishes to secure food and water, you still have 2 wishes to ask for whatever you want in reality. That's assuming you're one of those sillies that doesn't just wish for infinite wishes too. Infinite non-fattening food materialization, here I come! The magic genie makes survival here kind of a non-issue. It essentially would become a riddle on how you could survive while using as little wishes as possible, which is a lot more fun of a scenario than it is in a lot of rooms, making this the best room to survive in all of Tomodachi Life. Not because you survive, but because you get out of this room with extra stuff than what you came in with. 10, 10, 9, 9, 10. Almost a perfect score. Point is, that's all the interiors. By the way, 1986 showing up 3 times in this video was a complete coincidence. I don't know why it happened. But boy, I feel Arabian in here. Surviving until release is going to be easy peasy. Now, for my reward, come here, little MP.
Ah, who awakens me?
Holy shit, you're adorable!
Damn it, you! I am the almighty genie of the lamp, yeah, and I award you with the 3 wishes.
It's kind of hard to see you as almighty. Look at those tiny wings.
Actually, according to all laws of aviation, there's no way I should be able to fly. Why am I explaining this? Go on. 3 wishes.
Okay. I've been getting ready for this all my life. Give me infinite wishes.
Can't do.
Infinite non-fattening summonable dino nuggets.
Can't do.
Teleportation superpowers.
Can't do.
Money.
Can't do.
World peace.
Can't do.
Freeing the genie from the lamp?
Can't do.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So what can you grant?
I can grant you a material wish, which I will contort into an outcome that causes ages of agony due to badly chosen words. Or, a computer that gains internet access whenever my arms are touching you.
Guess I'll take the cuddles.
Oh, what now?